Hello, this is video 2 of the series, and in this video I'm going to show you how to install and configure FT8 with your FT710. So let's start with remembering your configurations from last video and also your audio configurations that we haven't touched yet. On the last video I installed the USB drivers. So you have your enhanced port and your standard port for your FT710. Also know that the FT710 has an internal audio device. So in other words, when you connect your FT710 to your computer, it also provides its own audio drivers, and you can look at it by going into your audio settings. So let's go sound settings. I just type the word audio and sound settings come up, and you look into your sound control panel, and right here you see speaker. This is the internal speaker of my laptop, and you also see USB audio, and this is the audio from the radio. When it comes to playback, it means the computer is playing the audio back out through these devices here. That means that this is the audio that goes from the computer into the radio. Keep that in mind. Playback goes from the computer into the radio. Recording, on the other hand, actually is the audio that goes from the radio in to the computer. So you have your internal microphone, which is the built-in microphone into this laptop, and you also have your USB microphone, which is the audio that is coming in from the radio. I'm making the assumption here that you don't have other audio devices connected to your computer at this point. So this is the only USB external device connected to this computer. So when it comes to FT8, the first piece of software that comes to mind is WSJT-X, which is the most widely used by hams across the globe. I think there are some other interesting pieces of software that do FT8. One also comes to mind, but I'm going to concentrate on what most people use. So what I do is I go to any search engine, because I don't remember the page by heart, and I just go to WSJT-X page, and what I will do here is essentially download the install software. Since my operating system is 64-bit, I'm going to download this version here, which is Win64 executable. So download complete. Here's the program. Let's go ahead and run it. Close everything else just to concentrate on this here. Next. Agree. I'm just gonna go ahead and add it to all users. What the heck? And I want to create a desktop icon just for the purpose of this video. Next. That's fine. Next. And finally install. Install complete, and you can go ahead and click finish. Yes, I want to run it right now because I need to configure it. So let's go ahead and start the configuration. Let's come here and let's move this to the side. And I'm going into settings. So go to File, Settings. I want to enter my call, my grid. I believe my region is 8, but okay, I'm not touching that right now. When you go to this drop down for the rig under the radio tab, you want to look for Yaesu. Let's see if they have, because I don't remember, FT-710. Yes, they do. So here's FT-710. Now, COM3. Not sure if COM3 will work for this. Let me test. No, of course not. I believe we're going to set to COM4. And COM4 is my enhanced port, which is set to 38400 baud rate. PTT method will be GET, actually RTS, and I'm going with my standard port, which is COM3. Remember, in this computer, COM3 is a standard, COM4 is enhanced. Okay, so and once again, I want to remind you that it may be different in your computer. The COM port numbers may be different. Just remember which one is standard and which one is enhanced. Data bits 8. Stop bit. And handshake is default. Also here to the right, I want to set it to data because the FT710 has data USB, and I want to set my split operation to rig. So input is the USB microphone, output is the USB audio. So going back to radio, let's go ahead and test CAT, and it's green. We need to set on the FT710. I'm going to show you this in a picture now. a preset, and that preset will have RTS in it. Okay, so because I'm using RTS as a PTT method, we're going to use that preset with RTS, as you can see on the screen. So let me set here on the radio. And it worked now. So when I click on test PTT, your radio has to transmit at that particular point. There you go. I'm going to set my radio to data U, and I also show you a picture of where I set data U. And I will OK it for now. As soon as I OK it, my radio goes into the frequency that you see on the screen. And I'll show you a picture of it. And we should be able to decode contacts at this point. So I'm already decoding something here, somebody calling CQ. And you can see here on the waterfall signals being received. Now I'm going to pause this video and show you on the radio what my settings look like. So on the radio, what you want to pay attention to is when you come here into the mode and you click and hold preset, you have 5 presets you can play with, but I'm using settings number 1. I named it FT8, JS8, SSTV. I use the same settings for all of these modes. Okay. Now observe that anything that is in white is something that I've changed. Everything that is in yellow is the default. So if you see anything yellow here, it's the same thing on your radio from factory. Now I change my high cutoff frequency to 2800, and I also change my USB audio output level to 3 because I like it really low at first so that I may adjust it little by little on the computer. Okay. Also notice that RTS is the default here. And that's why I had to enable this particular preset. Okay. So how do you enable a preset? You come here. Let's say your radio is on USB, just plain USB. You will go into the mode. It will press and hold preset. Make sure that that's the preset you programmed. Go back, click on preset, and click on the data mode. This is for FT8. Now I'm ready to transmit and receive. Now let's adjust the audio to make sure my ALC is not too high when I transmit. Back to the computer, I want to make sure my transmit audio is not too high when I transmit. So what I will do here is I come here into the right hand side where you see PWR for power. I want to put this about halfway just to make sure I'm not going to start it too loud. And I want to make sure also that my radio is on low power, because I don't like to tune the radio high power. I click on tune and I start raising this bar as I observe the ALC on the radio. If my ALC barely starts moving, that means I'm good now. And I can do that very granular, in a very granular way using the arrow keys. Once you click here one time, you can start using your arrow keys to adjust it. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video here once again, and I'll show you on the radio what I mean. Now you get a little screen flicker here, and I apologize for that. Let's go ahead and quickly click on tune. Click on the arrow here on the adjustment and use my arrow keys to adjust the volume of my output. So if I lower it, you see my ALC going down. If I increase it, you see how it goes up. You don't want your ALC too high on data mode. Okay, just about there should be fine. Now you can confirm that to be okay by first looking at what power I'm transmitting with. 5 watts, let's change it to 10, make it a little more obvious. And let's go into the power mode, and when I transmit, I should have about 10 watts. And that's what I have, 10 watts. That is perfect. So our reception is ongoing, as you can see by looking at this particular meter here on the left hand side. About 40 to me is okay. I think that's fine. I like it 40, and you set it the way you think is best for you. And this is how do you adjust that? You can either adjust by using the computer audio control panel, which I don't recommend, or you can adjust it from the radio on that particular preset. Remember, I set my USB to 3. Okay, so that is where my audio out from the radio into the computer was adjusted. If I want it to be a little louder, I can go back into that preset and adjust it to a higher value, and that value will mean that is a louder output from the radio audio into the computer. So we're all good to go, all set as far as communication in between WSJT-X and your FT-710. Let me go over the settings just one more time. My general tab with my call sign and my grid. The radio tab, make sure you pick FT-710 for the FT-710. On cat control is your enhanced port, so I picked 4, and port 4 is already default from factory 38400. Then I adjust the data bits to 8, stop bit to 1, and handshake to default. Nothing done here on force control lines, don't need that. PTT method, I chose RTS, COM3, which is the standard port. Mode, data, PKT, so that uses the data mode on the radio. And the split operation, I chose rig. I was successful testing CAT communication and successful testing PTT. Audio, make sure you pick your USB audio. That is the device from the radio. Remember, if you have multiple devices connected to your computer, let's say a USB microphone that you use for your podcast, whatever. You have to be able to determine which device is your radio. Any other settings on FT8, that's an entirely different video. There are plenty of videos on the internet for FT8 configurations, logging, etc., etc. So I'm not going to make that part of my video. I hope this video was helpful. 73.